Hello, a quick video on Demon Souls Remake PvP, something called Guaranteed Wake-Ups. Demon Souls Remake changed the animation and the way that characters wake up or stand up after being backstabbed. And in this video, I'm going to just briefly show a few ways of getting a guaranteed wake-up after you land a backstab on an opponent. So, when you stand up after a backstab, you are invincible for majority of the stand-up, but there is a time when you have a frame or a few frames, whatever it is, that you are vulnerable to attacks. And so I will showcase an easy way to time some of those attacks after you backstab somebody. And I will use a variety of weapons to do so. So the first weapon is a great sword here, works with the DBS as well. Two-handed, you go for the backstab, backstep R1, and it gets guaranteed damage right there. Okay, I'll show again. So, backstab, two-handed, you're going to backstep, so circle, and then R1 immediately, and they can't avoid that hit. This really only works when there is low latency. If there is a bunch of latency, then the attacks are less consistent, so keep that in mind. If you're going one-handed with the great sword, go for the backstab. You can actually just hit it immediately and they take damage. Every weapon that you use, there are maybe a couple of different ways to do the wake up. This is the Knight Sword, one of my favorite weapons. Backstab, go to the left or right, R2 immediately, and they take that damage. They can't avoid it. Next, I'll show you a Claymore, so this works with all large swords. You can do one and two-handed. Two-handed, you go for the backstab, and then you're going to immediately backstep the circle, R1. Didn't work on that one. I delayed it just a little bit. So, I'll show you again, backstab, and then you're going to backstep R1 immediately. Avoid that damage. So this works with all large swords. Another one-handed that you can do is you can go for the backstab. You're going to roll R1. I missed that. I misspaced it. Alright, we'll go for backstab, roll R1, and then they take a little bit of damage right there. There are other ways to do it with the great swords, but that's just a couple of ways. The Northern Regalia, this works as well. And remember, latency does play a role here, but one of the most consistent wake-ups is with a Katana. So one-handed Katana, go for the backstab, immediately mash R2, and you do the little thrust attack, which they cannot avoid. Like I said, this seems to be the most consistent wake-up hit that I've seen. I wouldn't recommend two-handing. I'm not aware of any wake-ups with the two-handed. So next we'll use the Crescent X. So this works with large axes and large clubs. So you go for the backstab, two-handed, and then you're going to backstep R1, and then they take the damage. They can't roll out. I'm going to show you here with the meat cleaver. It will do the same thing. And when using these, if the weapon is a bit shorter range, like the great axe, then it's less likely to hit. It doesn't have the range for it. So the Crescent X and the meat cleaver seem to work well. A new one I just learned is with a spear. You go for a backstab, and then immediately afterwards, you're going to two-hand and then backstep with a circle, R1, and you'll get the guaranteed hit. Again, we'll try it one-handed with a spear, backstab, gonna two-hand, backstep, R1, they take the damage. Now, with pole arms, so halberds, Merlin hammers, war scythe, I don't know of any guaranteed. I know there's a way to kind of get good guaranteed damage, but there's some timing. I don't use it very often, so my timing's not good with it. But I'll show you some options. So you backstab, you walk up, you R2. If that does not hit and they roll away, the next R1 usually will connect. It will catch them. Okay, but I've seen some people backstab with a polearm. They have it timed out when they walk up and they R2 and it catches them. Again, I don't use polearms that often, so I don't have too much experience with those wake-ups. However, another weapon that you can use is a curved sword. So here with the killage, the one I know for sure is when you R2 afterwards, it seems to catch them, where they can't get it out of that. It's unavoidable. Another option is after the backstab, walking up and spamming R1. I messed up on this one, but go ahead and backstab, walk up and R1, and that second hit will connect. Again, I don't use curved swords that often, so there could be a little bit timing issue with that, but the most consistent is definitely the R2 and then R2 again. And obviously that fails in there. So every weapon has not every weapon, but most weapons have some sort of guaranteed hit slot that you can do if you figure out the timing of it. So you've seen, you know, R2, you've seen backstab R1, you've seen roll and then R2. There's a variety of ways to time out and get these guaranteed wake-ups. This is just showcasing a few of them. And so if some people will backstab with one weapon like the killage here and then switch to an Uchi and try to get that R2 thrust in. So every weapon, the animation time is a bit different. So if you backstab with a killage and then switch to an Uchi, that guaranteed hit might work, but if you backstab with a guillotine axe and then switch to an Uchi, it will not, because they are timed very differently.